Good morning and Boker Tov to everyone. May we hear good news. May our hostages come home and our soldiers return from the war with a sweeping victory. 10 minutes of meeting is generously sponsored by Shmuel Lenis Toshayos Nishmas, his father Yaakov Yidam and Gedalia, and in the schus of Refuah Shlema of her mother Batsheva Bas Bluma Rivka. As always, please feed your body, nourish your soul, fuel your body and nourish your soul with our coffee and our slushies and our pastries, and enjoy yourself. We're learning Iggeres HaRamban, the Ramban's letter, written ostensibly to his son, but the Ramban, knowingly or unknowingly, really was writing the letter to each and to every one of us, how to be our better selves, how to be better versions of ourselves, how to condition ourselves, never get angry, never lose our cool, never raise our voice, live a life of awe, live a life of awareness of Hashem in our life, to be able to live a life of reaching up, reaching out, and reaching in, our midos, repairing, correcting, to be able to build, deepen our relationships rather than ruin and rather than sabotage them. It's the combination of not being angry and arrogant and instead carrying ourselves with a humility. As we've learned, the Ramban says, let me tell you, you may not yet become humble, but act humble. Dress for the job you want, not the one that you have. Act humble, you'll become humble. Don't wait to be humble, to act humble. And do so, tamid. If you're only humble part of the time, you're never humble. To be humble to that mindset, that posture, that attitude, that approach, that thinking. Kol dvarachi benachas, speak calmly. Roshcha kafuf, which is where we left off. Roshcha kafuf means keep your head down. We even, I think in literature, I think our imagery, somebody who has their nose high in the air, who looks up while they walk, is arrogant. They think that they're controlling the whole world, they're the master of the world. The world serves them instead of their serving Hashem and serving the world. We're supposed to look down. The Gemara in Brachos, if you walk in a haughty fashion, even for 6 feet, you push away Hashem. Hashem says there's not enough room in this world for both of us. The whole world is filled with His kavod, His honor, His glory, not yours. So we don't walk around. Instead, Rosh Kafuf, our head down. And I shared with you, you can look it up online, I did, that the design of the inner ear, we are most balanced and in equilibrium, not when we hold our head straight, but in fact, when the head is tilted down, is when the human being anatomically is most in balance. The anatomy, of course, corresponds with the Torah truth. The Rosh Kafuf, person should be looking down. Then continues the Ramban. We're supposed to, the posture a Jew should have is that our eyes look down, but our heart is looking up. Our eyes are down and our heart is up. When we walk, now again, that doesn't mean be rude. Don't avoid people. Don't avoid eye contact. Don't be rude. Don't fail to give a shalom aleichem, say a good Shabbos. Don't say hello to people when you walk by. You were so humble and busy being humble that you were looking down. The notion of looking down means literally to be looking down. Again, you're not head held high, nose in the air, arrogant. But it also means that our approach and our attitude, aretz, we think of humility. We look at the aretz, we think about the soil, the dirt, the earth that we are shaped from and that we will return to, and that should generate a sense of humility. But while simultaneously, with humility, we look to the ground, to the earth, and we realize that's where we are going one day. We are future worm food. But lib chalamala, simultaneously, our heart should aim, should aspire, should reach, should yearn to go up. Mashgiach Rav Dan Segel in his commentary on Iggeres HaRamban quotes the Kedushas Levi. It's the famous Rav Levi Yitzchak. Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, Kedushas Levi says on the pasuk, "Bashamayim mima'al v'al haaretz mitachas." We say it in our davening. "Bashamayim mima'al v'al haaretz mitachas," says Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, when it comes to Shemayim issues, avodas Hashem u'malos tzarich lahabit mima'al. You have to look up. So you say, look at the person who's a bigger Talmid Chacham, who has better midos, who's more righteous, who gives more tzedakah. When it comes to spiritual, mima'al, look up. V'ala aretz mitachas. But when it comes to material things, when it comes to needing physical material things, mitachas, then look down. When it comes to the spiritual, look up at those who have more and try to measure up to them. And when it comes to the physical, look down and realize how much you have and be grateful for it. That our eyes, our posture, a yid's posture throughout the day is looking down. Our heart is yearning up. If you've ever seen the birth of an animal, that's a peculiar segue. If you've ever seen the birth of an animal, you know Animals are born and they walk immediately. They walk immediately. If you ever went to Rabbi Gur Berman's father's farm and saw him delivering calves, you see the calves pop out and then they just start walking. And yet a baby is born and it takes a baby a long time. They're immobile for a long time until they begin to crawl. And first they pull themselves like they're commandos. Then they crawl on their knees and hands. And then eventually they stand up and walk and they fall down. And eventually they walk. Why do human beings take a long time to learn to walk? And animals walk right away. So Rishonim already point out. Because an animal, behema, is bama. You see is what you get. It's a finished product. It's ready to walk. But the same path towards walking is walking in life. That the Jew is striving, is yearning, is reaching, is stretching. We start out, we can't even crawl. Then we crawl, and then we walk. We are constantly growing. We're constantly adding. We're mosif v'holech. We're doing more, we're growing. An animal walks on all four, it's looking towards the ground. A human being walks on two, we're stretching, we're striving, we're standing up, we're yearning, going towards the heavens. Bashamayim mima'al, v'al ha'aretz mitachas. Einecha yabitu lamata la'aretz. On the one hand, with humility, we look down, we know where we come from, we know where we're going to, and we have the humility that should bring. But v'lib chalamala, simultaneously, I want more. I want holiness. I want eternity. I want immortality. I want Torah. I want to be on a mission. I want to contribute. This is also the halacha in Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim Yisrael Tzadi Hey. What is the posture for davening? On the one hand, we have a tradition of shuckling. Kol atzmosai tomarna. Some people shuckle. They move around. They gesture. They gesticulate. They move around. All their limbs. Kol atzmosai tomarna. With all of our bones and all of our limbs, we're into the davening. We're into the davening. Early Hasidim and Baal Shem Tov, they would start Shemona Esrei in this corner of the room, and they'd end Shemona Esrei in the other corner of the room. They're bouncing off the walls. It's one of the criticisms of the Gra and others, the concerns. But the Shulchan Aruch says, "Tzarach sheyachuf rosha ma'at, she'einecha lamata la'aretz, v'libo yechavin lamalo l'shamayim." The Rambam says, how do you say Shemona Esrei? Your right hand over your left hand over your heart, your head tilted down. That's it. That's the posture of Shemona Esrei. You know what that looks like? When you stand before a king. If you stand before a powerful leader, a king, your hand over your heart, and your head is, you don't look at the king, with your back tall and your head high in the air and looking him in the eye and looking down at him or looking at him as an equal. The way to express the humility when talking to someone so powerful, your hand over your heart. And that's the way the Rambam says there's no movement, there's no shuckling, there's no nanuim going on with yourself. It's your hand, right hand over the left hand, chesed over din over the heart, with the head looking down. And that's what the Shulchan Aruch paskins. That is the posture of a yid when they daven. Continues the Ramban. The Ramban says when you're speaking to somebody, don't look them directly into the eye. Now that might be cultural. Today, if you were to avoid eye contact with someone, they would consider you rude. If they were of the other gender, they might especially consider you rude if they don't understand or appreciate what you're trying to do. But the Ramban's sentiment remains, which is, be humble, appear humbly before everyone. Everyone else should be considered greater than you in your eyes. And we should use our creativity and imagination to figure out a way that they're greater than us, so that when we interact with them, we do so with humility, we do so with deference. So if they're smarter, then certainly you should respect that. They're wealthier, they have more resources, they could do more with it. You should mechabed that. Im rashu, if they're poorer, you're wealthier or wiser. You're so wise, when you mess up, you have no excuse. You know better. If they're not as smart, they didn't have as good teachers, they weren't as well educated, so therefore they're more forgiven. So therefore, you're going to look at them with haughtiness and arrogance. You should look at them with admiration and inspiration, that in fact, they are more worthy than you. So in every interaction, in every engagement, in every conversation, we should go in with a sense of, there's something to learn from this person. There's a way that they're greater than I am. There's a way that they're better than I am. Maybe I have more money in the bank. Maybe I did better on the SATs than they did. But maybe they're more righteous. Maybe they're more pure. Maybe they're more innocent. Maybe they're more self-regulated. Maybe they're more generous. With everyone, there's something to learn and a reason to be humble. And your life, says the Ramban, will change. If you go through your day with your head down instead of up, with feeling humble instead of arrogant, with always speaking calmly instead of ever indulging anger, your marriage, your parenting, your friendships, your business, every part of your life will be enhanced for the better. And the Mir Hashem, we should hear Besoros Tovos today. Have a great day.